There's nothing like being in the stands cheering on your favorite team. Game Time is your hack to unlocking amazing tickets in just a few taps. Plus, their Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets at the best price. Fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Get the best deals on sports tickets. Download the Game Time app and create an account to start searching for tickets to upcoming games and events. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time.
So I'm here with Tom. Tom, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thank you. How about you?
Good. Well, we weren't going to record a midweek pod, but there's been so much going on that even with no football to talk about, at least no United football, we thought we'd cover some of the stuff. So today we're going to talk about Mason Greenwood, and we'll be, just as a fair warning, we will be very circumspect about how we talk about that, because obviously it's now potentially become a criminal case. We're going to talk about transfers, transfer market, what United have done both on the men's and the women's side of things, and international football, because there's been some fun stuff going on with United players. Oh, and Ed Woodward was left. Hooray! Happy post-Woodward era, everyone. Henceforth to be celebrated with fireworks. Just not fired at Ed Woodward's house, right? So, where do we start with this stuff with Mason Greenwood? I had a few thoughts, and I know you've got a few as well. So, look, one, he's been arrested twice now, and this is following a posting by someone we won't name, because although she has posted it under her proper name, she's entitled to anonymity. I did name her on Twitter and then deleted it after thinking about that, and I think that's the line that most responsible people have been taking. So social media posted on Instagram with pictures of a young woman who with blood coming from her nose and bruises, with the tag, "This is what Mason Greenwood does to you," or something to that effect, and some audio, really disturbing, actually, audio, which again, we're taking all this at face value, so we don't know any of this to be factually true. And subsequently, a young man in his 20s that everyone is presuming to be Mason Greenwood was arrested on suspicion of assault and rape, and rearrested on suspicion of threatening to kill. Have I got all those kind of basic facts correct?
Yeah, I think that seems to be the case. It's hard to, like you say, it's not right for us to comment on the facts of the case. We don't know any of the facts about at this time. But I think from my perspective, I want to kind of focus on the bravery of women in these sort of situations, really. Yeah. Like in the case that we know about with this, like you say, there was posts on social media, but I think the victim's father actually came out and said that she didn't mean to release these images.
Yes, the interview with the Mail was that he used the words, "She said she'd been hacked." I don't really know what that means in this context.
No, but I mean, to take the photos in the first place for posterity, and not just this case, but in cases worldwide and across the UK, which are far too common in this country. This shows like the bravery that women have to take in this situation, and to record audio as well in this situation, because I can't even imagine like what that would be like for a woman to be so scared because she is in such a vulnerable situation with an abuser, and because you've taken photos and you probably don't think that is going to be enough for a conviction and for people to believe you, because in the past that this kind of thing, you have taken photos of yourself when you've been abused, but it hasn't been taken that seriously by the authorities. Like, that you would have to try and record something while the abuser is there, and like imagine how scary that must be, and the potential that abuser might find that audio it being recorded at the time. It's an incredible thing to even contemplate, to be honest, and it's something that we couldn't even experience unless we've experienced it ourselves, really.
trying to be empathetic here, and I think it's important to have our empathy should be with her, not the alleged abuser in this case. And absolutely right. And look, again, we don't know factually that Mason Greenwood was an abuser, or that it's even him on the audio. It can, that appears to be the accusation. But clearly, she has been beaten up.
Yeah.
And clearly she was terrified. And we should have a lot of empathy there, and that she's felt the need to do that makes me really concerned for her and her well-being, that this was not a one-time thing.
Yeah, if you are going to listen to that audio, be prepared, because it's truly horrifying.
I'm definitely not going to cut it into this podcast, so trigger warning for anyone who goes out there and searches for that, because it is brutal. And I would say if you've been through anything like this, or you don't feel like you want to experience hearing that, don't. You don't need to. The transcript is out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible, but I mean, the problem is, like I said, it's all too common in this country, and it's becoming a little bit too common, well, way too common in football as well. If you think back to the Ched Evans case, which happened a few years ago, and again, it points to the bravery of women to come out in this situation when they know that. You think back to the Ched Evans case, how much abuse that woman took for basically just alleging that for basically saying that this thing happened to her. For someone to be able to come out in this situation is also incredibly brave. What we've seen so far from social media's reaction has been actually quite positive compared to previous times, and hopefully it shows that kind of society is changing a little bit when it comes to this kind of thing, because I've not seen any abuse for her. Very, very tiny amounts compared to how much love and support there is out there for her, which is really quite heartwarming, because like I say, in the Ched Evans case, and this potentially might happen in this case as well, as kind of things come out from certain PR teams and certain lawyers and they're released to the press, that there might become a schism in the public domain and the public opinion on this. And that is something that is, I guess, inevitable because of things that have happened, but it's no less demoralising, to be honest.
I guess we should say that Mason Greenwood has not publicly commented, nor his team released anything at all yet. As far as we know, as of recording at 9 p.m. on Tuesday UK time, he's still under arrest. I think, as we understand it, nothing else has been released by Greater Manchester Police, and I don't think he's been charged. So we've not heard from him. We heard from the club, who said he won't be training or playing while this is ongoing. I think it's fair to comment on United's approach here. I thought it was a little bit weak, but I understand why it was weak. So it was a kind of mealy-mouthed statement saying something along the lines of, we don't condone violence. Well, good for you. I'm glad you cleared that up, guys. And the suspension, or in fact the not suspension, the fact they won't be playing or training, I don't think it stretches to he's not going to get paid while this is under investigation. So it could have gone further. It seems that, although they haven't said it publicly, they've let it be known that they're worried about impacting the case in some way by taking a more severe action. I don't know about that, but Laura Williamson in The Athletic wrote a fairly scathing piece about United's response. And one thing which I thought was perfectly fair commentary, actually, maybe the club are worried about coming out too hard, in that it might be seen as some kind of admission of guilt. I don't know if that's true or not, really. It's certainly true that he is a paid employee of Manchester United when he's under suspicion. Not yet charged, though, so things could change. And then there's the wider context, of course, which, again, talking about people who haven't been convicted of anything, United signed Ronaldo on this pod, with former host Paul. We talked in depth about that. He's never been charged, but there was an accusation dating back 10 years or so, which has been covered in depth on this pod by Der Spiegel. Loads of documents came out from his legal team in which there appeared to be an omission, later redacted and changed. And he's never been charged by Las Vegas police. He did make a payment. But what that means is that an enabling culture when United are willing to sign a player under those circumstances? Maybe. It certainly adds to it. And then, of course, we had, very different, but we had Ryan Giggs in the director's box at Old Trafford this season when he's under trial for abusing his former girlfriend
Yeah.
and her sister, I think, which just kind of adds to the sort of feeling of potentially there being a misogynistic culture at United that enables this kind of thing to happen.
Yeah, and like you say, it was almost fair comment in that respect, especially considering what's happened previously. And this case feels so different as well because in so many cases, like the two that you alluded to, and so many more in football, like there's never been the audio and the visuals that we've seen, especially before we've even heard of the arrest. Basically, Mason Greenwood was posting photos of being at training on Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning, this comes out, and it like I say, this is so different because it sets off such an emotional reaction inside of people. We're trying to be very delicate here and be very level-headed, but it's hard to be because when you hear that audio, it's so difficult to listen to, and it makes you think if this is definitely this player if that is definitely Mason Greenwood as it is supposed to be, like the amount of things that I don't want to see Greenwood play for the club again if that is him. But like I say, it's all ifs and buts at the moment because despite the accusations, it's obviously just accusations, but it makes me think, and so many people think across social media and all our fan base and everything. You've seen so many people come out and say we don't want him to play for our club again, and you can see why people would exactly say that. Like, I'm all for someone to basically go through rehabilitation, and I'm all for second chances and stuff, but in this respect, if it was to be true, you can't ever put a footballer on, you can't ever put someone on a pedestal that a footballer is on, and to have the privileges that go with being a professional footballer, the hero worship, the fans being chanting your name and all that kind of thing. It's the same thing with David Goodwillie that's just happened in Scotland. There's a massive furore over that, and that's just at Wraith Rovers. All their fans are kicking off about it because he was convicted in a civil lawsuit, not in a court of law. So I think it's a little bit different. I don't really understand the technicalities.
Lower bar of lower bar preponderance of the evidence. Coming back to a point you made, I was kind of surprised by the reaction because Ronaldo was lionised when he came to United. There were over 50 posts from United's social media account in the days afterwards. He was the centrepiece of Manchester United's marketing, and it was as if those accusations had never been made, and they didn't matter. And the victim in that case didn't matter either. And I kind of expected a similar reaction. I don't think that has been the balance of the reaction. Obviously, this is just anecdotal from reading press and social media. I think people are properly disgusted and are taking an empathetic view. And like you said, if this is true and if this goes further down the road to trial, conviction, we don't know yet. Might not even get that far. Most people I've seen commenting on this would not want him back at the club. Yeah. And I think that's a fair reaction. And whatever we think about the value of the player as a player or as an asset or this young man's career, that they are all distant second to the value of this young woman and the hell, I presume, that she's going through.
Yeah, 100%. I even went searching for negative comments just to see, right, if there is any, how many are there? Because I was scared that this woman, by opening herself, well, it sounds like she didn't even open herself up, but inadvertently opening herself up, or someone else opening herself up on her behalf to this, like how much already backlash is there? And genuinely, there was barely any on the Instagram post, which I've found so heartwarming in a terrible moment, to be honest. And it was almost, I'd say 98% entirely positive response back. And like you say, I was really surprised by that. And because, like you say, when Ronaldo came back, he was lionised, and you see people now with Ronaldo AVIs posting Greenwood should never play for our football club again. And that makes you think.
Well, this is going to be a really awkward transition away from that very difficult topic into transfers. And it's going to sound really glib, but hey, we're a football podcast and we cover many things. So transfer market, there were some fun and games around the world of transfers. United, I was trying to count up all the players United have let go on loan or one permanent transfer. I think it's 9 this window. The headline ones being, obviously, Donny van de Beek has gone to Everton on a 6-month loan, no option to buy, just straight loan. Gone to join Frank Lampard's
Revolution?
glorious circus revolution over at Everton. I mean, it's an absolute banter club at the moment, isn't it? The funny thing about Lampard is that I look at him and what he achieved at Chelsea and Derby. And it was really very little. He took Derby from 6th to 6th and Chelsea from 2nd to 3rd or whatever it was. And yet he seems to be like linked with all these jobs and, discussed in. Everton's a big club. They have a big supporter base. It's 35 years since they won anything or whatever, but it's an old historic club that has always remained at the top of English football. And I can't help but make the comparison with Ollie, who's generally seen as a bit of a joke and probably would never work in England again because of that reputation. But it's not really fair, is it? Anyway, that's a side comment. Donny's gone to join that revolution. Good move? Bad move? What do you think of this?
It's an interesting one. It puts a lot of pressure on him. It's also weird that they signed Dele Alli at the same time, who's, I'm not saying an identical player, but they're very, I guess, in their best. They're the types of players who will arrive late in a box, midfielders who maybe don't get that involved in the play when they're at their best, but are kind of, those players for in the final third, and they're very similar, I'd say. So I don't.
Yeah. Are they going to fit together, or are they just taking 2 for the price of 1?
Is Donny van de Beek going there to sit on the bench? Like, is he just going to? Surely not. Dear. But like, I would be a little bit.
The free Donny campaign finally won, and he's going off to.
I mean, back.
Who knows? He may. Lampard may go with a 4-3-3 and play both of them, or play Dele Alli in a more forward position. So we'll see.
It's also interesting. Like, he's not the type of player I would probably want in a relegation scrap. I think he's a very technically good player, but I think he's not really he hasn't at all proved that he's a Premier League player so far. Like,
no, and the thinking around the club is that he's not cut out for it.
He's not got the physical attributes. He's not a particularly hard worker. He wasn't. I mean, he relatively hard worker, but he's not the type of player who gets stuck in. He's, like I say, he's kind of a final third link player and will arrive and score and assist. And like he has a lot of ability, but like he's not the kind of player that I would bank on if I was Everton, really. And Dele Alli's the same, to be honest.
He seems to have made that choice as well. He had the option to go to Crystal Palace and turned them down.
I think Palace would have been a better fit, actually. I think they play better football and they're more of a team.
I think so too. And they've got more technical players.
Yeah. And they have a style, and they have a manager who's actually progressing the team. And
exactly,
this is just, it's hard. It's a bit like United. It's like we sign a player. It's hard to imagine where they'll fit because we're such a mess, basically. And Everton are an even bigger mess than us.
Yes, it seems more stable at Palace. They've had a good transition. Patrick Vieira seems like a good coach.
But yeah.
Didn't expect it either because he hadn't shown it previously, but he certainly helped sort of fuel the transition. They've got some very good technical players, plays nice football. It feels like it would have been a better fit for him. But his girlfriend's pregnant. He won't have to move house. There's some personal stuff going on there as well. I can't imagine he's got a particularly good relationship with Frank Lampard, unless there's some random thing I didn't see there. Marcel Brands, maybe he had a relationship with the agent there, the former sporting director. Of course, Marcel Brands has gone. His whole recruitment team has gone. Yeah. The club's doctor and the medical team went. Yeah. I mean, Rafa Benitez took over everything in his usual power play and then got sacked.
Yeah, and then got rid of their best left back as well. Apparently, he was Marcel Brandt's. He was on the shortlist of Marcel Brandt, and so was the left back they signed from Ukraine and the right back they signed from Scotland. So apparently they've signed 3 players that were on his shortlist, but got rid of him as well.
So they got sacked him anyway. Okay, good luck, Donny. The best case scenario is he plays well and gets a move.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I'm definitely not ruling it out, but it just seems like a bit of an odd fit, and I wouldn't join Everton if I was him. But hey,
no. Anthony Martial's gone to Sevilla. Sevilla in much better shape, challenging for La Liga this season. They've probably, because they didn't let the defender, whose name I'm completely forgetting now, go to Newcastle either. So they're probably thinking, well, we've got a shot at the title here. It's a Real Madrid. It's a decent Real Madrid side, but not vintage. And obviously Barcelona are way out of it this season. So Sevilla have a good shot. They've got a good coach. in Lopetegui, and Martial's going there trying to resurrect his career.
I think that's a nice fit. I think La Liga is really good for him because he's he's very technical. He loves to knit play together. I think even when he came on for United the other week, that he was really good at that interchanging and link up play, which has been missing from United for a while, and that is Martial at his best. I think in a league which is a little bit slower, a little bit less physical as well, that he could really shine. And then a title push as well, which is really exciting for him.
Probably joined a better team, to be honest.
Team on the up.
It's, last time we played them, they gave us good spanking. Anyway, good luck to him. He's had 7 seasons at United, probably 2 of them were good. And, we know the problems with him. He's not fit often enough. When he is fit, he doesn't really feel fit. He's been at odds with the medical department. He's been very flaky. He's been under 4 managers now. Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Carrick, Rangnick. So that's 5. And none have really trusted him. So it's time to move on. So good luck for him for that. A few of them, younger players we knew were going out. Ted and Mengi went to Birmingham. That was already announced. Ethan Laird has switched from Swansea to Bournemouth. Talked about that on the pod already. So he's switched to mid-championship for top of the championship. He's had a great season by all accounts. Mate Kovar has gone to Burton, the goalkeeper. And Dylan Hugwerth, young player, has gone permanent signing to Borussia Mönchengladbach. I didn't want to do a deal for Denis Zakaria, I see.
Oh my gosh, I was fuming about that.
He's gone to Juve for $5 million, so it would have been a bargain, but I guess it's just not on their list of players they want.
But like you said, I think you've said this a few times, like, it's so important that we sign a centre midfielder to try and get in the Champions League. And I know that he's not been as great as he was before his injury, but he's still £5 million.
Seems like a gamble worth taking.
Yes. And he's probably better than all of our centre mids. Like, maybe it might not work out for the long term, or maybe might not be quite as good. But like you say, it's a gamble worth taking. It's £5 million.
I know.
And maybe he fancied Juve more than us, but they're in a mess as well. So
they are. I mean, the tax situation in Italy is such that he's getting a better deal there. But it seems like United weren't interested in doing that deal. And then the final one, Ahmed Diallo's gone to Rangers. I don't know whether you saw any of the clips. I mean, it's Ross County, so, pinch of salt here. But he scored a tap in, got into a good position, and there was some lovely skill. I think he's going to do really well there.
Yeah, I actually watched the game because there was no Premier League on Saturday, and that just happened to be on. And I thought, Ahmad's always been one of those who intrigues me because I can't really see all the talent that we paid for, really. £45 million is a lot of money, and I can see that he's a good player, but I can't see that he's £45 million worth of player, or potentially that, like, you're paying for a lot of potential, that huge potential. And you think to how much Real Madrid got for Vinicius Junior.
Yes.
How much did they pay for him? It wasn't as much as that. No,
the pipeline from Brazil to Real Madrid seems strong. There's more players that might be going there. Yeah,
and we kind of signed a player who'd played a handful of times for Atalanta, and it's difficult to see if he's going to be that good. So he's obviously a player who's massively intrigued me, and every time he's kind of stepped up to senior football, it's that. I think from my perspective, it looks like he isn't that good at reading how a senior defender can defend. He's been used to these players in the youth team, and he can kind of just skip past them. But when a bigger, more robust guy is there, and a more tactically astute defender is there, the defender can kind of just move away and just take the ball off him. And it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts. I know it's Scottish football, and not a great level at all, but it will be. I think it's a good step up. I think if he went somewhere like the Championship, because of his frame and his size, that he would struggle with the physicality of that and the pace of it. Whereas with somewhere like Rangers, you've got the big club expectations that they have with being there, a little bit similar to United in a way. And obviously they're going to try and win the league. So that's a big step for him. And also, having more time on the ball, playing senior football, it's going to be, interesting to see how he develops over there. And judging by his first game, he looks really exciting.
Am I right in saying they're still in European football?
I think it might be Conference League, but I think...
Conference League. Well, it's barely European football, but it's sort of...
I might be wrong with that. It might be Europa League, but I can't remember how they did in that group.
I don't remember exactly either.
Celtic went into Conference League, but I can't remember Rangers.
Right. So, massive club. Obviously won the title last year after 10 years. and huge crowds at Ibrox. Great stadium to go to. It's a long time since I've been to Ibrox, but I have. It was, great atmosphere there. Went to Celtic Park before. Anyone sends me hate mail. Enjoyed that too. Both very good clubs. Love you all. Glasgow's a magnificent city. I hope it's a good development path for him. He'll be playing senior football. It will be front foot a lot because except in those games against Celtic, mostly Rangers will have all the ball and they'll be the dominant force. But it'll be a good test for him.
And they play Celtic on Wednesday night.
Yes, they do.
He came off with a bit of a knock, but hopefully he'll be fit enough to play in that game. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in that.
It might be a good one to watch. Yep. So that's all the transfer dealing on the men's side. On the women's side of things, United did some interesting deals, I thought. So they signed Jade Moore on a short-term deal. She was with Orlando Pride in Women's Soccer League over in these parts. Never actually played for them. She had an injury, went out to Atletico Madrid on loan. So it's a short-term deal. United women's team are going great at the moment. They've got an outside shot at winning WSL, but definitely a good shot at making next season's Champions League. So she's a midfielder. They signed Diane Caldwell, who's an Irish defender. She has also played in Super League over here. She was with North Carolina Courage. She played in the Bundesliga for a long time with Cologne and SC Sand. So adding to United's defensive stock, which was definitely needed, I'd say. And then perhaps the most intriguing and exciting signing is the loan signing. So I think I'm right in saying it's an 18-month loan for Signe Brun, who's a young Danish forward. Again, United definitely needed an extra body up front. She's with Lyon, multiple Champions League winning side. She hasn't really established herself with Lyon. She was with Paris Saint-Germain before that. But she's got a great record for Denmark, 14 goals in 19 games. So some exciting moves there. I don't know who's doing the deals for United women, but they seem to be more competent than on the mid side of things.
Yeah, I think, do they want a job?
Yeah. Maybe they can take over both portfolios. I know Casey Stoney was heavily involved using her network, and Mark Skinner has obviously gone back with Jade Moore for a player he's already worked with because he worked in the North American League for a couple of years, or Orlando. So, that might explain some of that. But the Signe Brun signing's really exciting.
Yeah, I think it's good to see the progress as well this season with United, and to see City drop off a little bit.
Yes, the door, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, because last season they were quite significantly better than United. I mean, we kind of stuck around for a little bit and then just trailed off towards the end, but I felt like they were three much better sides. But this season, the gap has seemed to have closed, which is really quite interesting and exciting, because I thought with Stoney leaving that might be a bit of and the way she did as well.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, is this one of those situations where it's going to just kind of go to pot after some really, really good first few years?
Well, it did seem like it, because they'd structured the women's team being under one of the other executives, so not reporting into Ed Woodward. It kind of signalled a lower priority. They didn't have their own training ground. They were being bussed in. They didn't even have toilets. Casey obviously went, it seems, in an act of protest, albeit she's got a good job over here in the States. But it didn't signal. And Mark Skinner, not particularly experienced either, never had a really big job before. So there were some negative signals there.
Yeah.
The team's done all right this season, though. Done pretty well, I think. And even if United don't win the title, which seems an outside shot, honestly, with Arsenal and Chelsea likely to pick up, one of them is likely going to pick up enough points with the rest of the season, it's going to solidify United's position in that sort of best of the rest, or in that top four teams. So, yeah, progress. I suppose that one last thing on the men's side of things. So the competition is basically with what? Arsenal, Spurs and West Ham for that fourth place. I think it'd be fair to say. Maybe Wolves. And there's been some interesting stuff. So Arsenal, Aubameyang has gone to Barcelona in a really weird deal where they appear to have ripped up his contract. But he wasn't going to play anyway, so it's not made any difference. Did they make any other signings, Arsenal? They didn't sign another forward, did they?
I don't think so.
So they haven't strengthened. Spurs did. So Lo Celso has gone, and Ndombele gone back to Lyon. Lo Celso to Villarreal, that's it, yeah. But they brought in Kulusevski, who's a really exciting young player, Swedish forward, wide forward, likes to carry the ball, has some of the best dribbling stats in Serie A, although you wouldn't necessarily call him a winger, would you? But yeah, he's definitely going to add to their sort of attacking options. You might even put them in, you might even say they're marginal favourites for that fourth spot. Maybe.
Yeah, Bernardeschi as well, who I think is a really good player.
Yes.
And I guess with Conte as well, like both of these players coming from Serie A, they signed another lad from Juve as well, did they? Or am I making that up?
I'm forgetting.
I thought they did. But anyway, they having signed these players from Serie A, and Conte obviously knows them really well, like, and getting rid of someone like Ndombele, who is a fantastically talented footballer, but he's super inconsistent and keeps falling out with every manager that Tottenham have. For Conte to bring in his own players, as it were, it does make them even more of a scary outfit, because they, in my opinion, they're the favourites for fourth, because since he's come in, they have got so much better. I mean, they couldn't get any worse, but they have got a lot better and a lot stronger. And Conte is a great manager, isn't he?
Yeah, Brian Gill left as well, a young sort of creative player, yeah. So, look, Conte knows what he wants, and if players aren't going to play under him, they're best to go. So, yeah, he's obviously got them organised, not quite as rapidly as he got Chelsea organised a few years back, but they're a real threat. I think they probably are marginal favourites here with United. I mean, ostensibly, United are weaker on the 31st of January than they were on the 1st of January, really. So all those players are gone. They may not have, I don't know, Ahmad, Donny van de Beek probably wouldn't have played much. Two players who didn't go, Dean Henderson, Phil Jones, probably should have gone in Phil Jones's case. He's going to be fifth choice. So
I don't know why. I think he said he turned down Bordeaux because he wasn't guaranteed first team football or something, but surely you would just back yourself.
Yeah, I know. He needs to rebuild his career. Dean Henderson, I'm sure, wanted to leave. There was some talk about him perhaps moving to Newcastle.
Yeah.
And Jesse Lingard didn't leave, and he'll leave on a free in the summer.
But with this Greenwood situation, Lingard had to stay, I think. And I feel sorry for him, because there's a lot of talk about him falling out with United for them not letting him go. And it must be really difficult for him, because he was obviously promised first team football in the summer, and then he didn't obviously get it. But now we can't let him go, really. I know he's barely featured this season.
But... No, I think from the club's point of view, you can understand it. I mean, apparently he spoke to Rangnick. Rangnick said, yes, you can go, but the club have blocked it, given everything else that's been happening. And you can kind of understand why the warm bodies will be needed. And we'll see. Maybe he'll play some games. He's definitely not going to be a starter for United. And I imagine, I hope he's professional enough to put his disappointment behind him. Henderson's a curious one, because I guess they just don't want to take the risk. If De Gea loses form or loses focus, which has happened in the past, or gets injured, it'd only be Tom Heaton.
Yeah, and I think maybe I would probably say it probably is the truth that De Gea's form has improved, because he was dropped last season for Henderson. And for all the world, I don't particularly rate Henderson that highly, but it did look at one point that Henderson was the future number one and De Gea was out the door. And if that is the reason, it looks like it is the reason from the outside, that's turned in an upturn of De Gea's form, like getting rid of that Henderson and potentially bringing that complacency back with De Gea is maybe something that Rangnick's maybe a little bit wary of as well. Like, it could so easily happen.
Yeah, to be addressed in the summer, I think.
Well, most of the big clubs these days have two great goalkeepers, and it's something that we need to have at United as well. If, like, even someone like West Ham have Areola, who I think is a really, really top keeper, as their second choice, and you see that more and more in the Premier League these days. I know it's not easy for someone like Henderson, who needs to prove himself and he wants to be a first team, but I think from a United perspective, we need to have two strong goalkeepers.
Well, that's it. Transfers, I guess, before we close out. International football. I mean, there was some... I haven't had the opportunity, timing and all that, to watch much of the AFCON. I'd meant to watch more, but it's just been difficult. Did you see Eric Bailly's glorious moment?
Absolutely beautiful. So there is nobody who I would expect this more of, than Eric Bailly. Like just walking up to a penalty so casually, looking the other way, and then dinking it over the bar in a quarterfinal, and maybe it was the last 16 of a major competition. That is just
It's Egypt,
perfection. Eric Bailly, perfection. Absolutely amazing.
The thing is, it's an amazing moment, but is there any surprise at all that Eric Bailly doing Eric Bailly things?
So Eric Bailly.
Is there anybody on planet Earth that I would bet on less than everybody taking a no-look, one-step penalty?
I can see Balotelli doing it, but Balotelli would probably pull it off.
Balotelli.
I can't see Bailly ever pulling it.
Eric Bailly. He's the last person on Earth, is what I was trying to say, that I would bet on to make that. Just bizarre. But there you go. Hannibal made started one game, played about a half, and came on the other, got about 20 minutes for Tunisia. He's got quite a few caps now because the Arab Cup as well.
I think it's a great experience for him to be in and around that competition and playing senior football as well. Like I said about Ahmad, it's a difficult step up from youth to senior football. So if Hannibal can play as much as that as possible especially playing in the African Cup of Nations, which is really quick, really physical game. It might not be the best technical football we've ever seen, but playing in that kind of environment and being with that kind of squad, some really good players in that Tunisia team. So it's no harm that he's not playing every game in there. And it's quite impressive that he did well enough in the Arab Cup to play and get in the squad in the African Cup of Nations. So yeah, I'm thinking really, really good experience for him. And I think you guys spoke about it on the last pod. It's so exciting. I think Hannibal, he's probably potentially our most exciting player in that youth team. And actually, I think our youth team look got some really exciting players in it, despite how inconsistent they are as a team.
Yes, they're sort of midway down. I think I'm right in saying under 23s are about midway down Premier League 2, I think it's called these days, isn't it? Table. So there might be a spot open now. Donny's gone. He's played at both 10 and 8 for the 23s, so there's probably a spot available. I know Paul Pogba's coming back. He's fit. We may see him against Middlesbrough, or at least partially. But there's an opportunity for Hannibal to maybe get some minutes, or at least be exposed to the first team. I'm sure he'll be training with the first team squad now. And as we've seen with Anthony Elanga, Rangnick's open to this.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's Hannibal. Fred played for Brazil against Ecuador in a 1-1 draw in the CONMEBOL qualifiers. Good old
Fred. It's good
Fred.
that he's been trusted for Brazil, like playing this alongside Casemiro. I know they didn't actually win that game, which is probably not a great thing for Brazil, but for him to be trusted as the second best centre mid for Brazil is maybe shows that how highly rated he is, at least by them, and he has been very good for us actually quite recently. I mean, sometimes not, but that's kind of Fred all over, isn't it?
It is Fred all over, but he's got this kind of interesting. I mean, who knows what the system is from week to week under Rangnick, because it's changed all the time. But the last game United played was basically a 4-3-3 with Fernandes a little bit deeper and Fred a little bit further forward.
That was like Shakhtar Fred as well. Like Fred, when he played at Shakhtar, wasn't sitting in front of the defence as a shield alongside another defensive midfielder. He was a player who was a box-to-box, and a lot of his best moments, as maybe we haven't seen at United, because it's when he gets in the final third, he seems to panic and shoot terribly, a bit like Anderson used to. But at Shakhtar, a lot of his best moments did come from breaking forward and creating moments in the final third. And he has a lot of strings to his bow. Like, he might not be amazing at much, to be honest, but he is kind of a 7 or a 6 out of 10.
Except pressing. He's world-class at pressing, which we know Rangnick likes. Edinson Cavani came on with about 20 minutes to go in Uruguay's 1-0 win over Paraguay. Important victory for them. And Alex Taylor was on the bench for that Brazil game, didn't get on. I don't know whether there's any more. Did they have any more games before? Was this just a one-game round, or were there two? They've got another game tonight, then they'll all head back. Over in these parts, the big story was Canada beating USA.
I saw that,
Canada, English coach, and they're doing really
got
well.
Some good players these days as well, like Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, I think scored the first, didn't he? He's decent. And Alphonso Davies didn't even play.
Yeah, there you go. I've not got into MLS or anything like that, and it's never going to happen.
Such a good standard of football, though.
Oh, yeah. Also,
sorry, mate.
That's it. Anything else this week that we didn't talk about? Ed Woodward. I know I mentioned it at the top of the show, but, bye, Ed. We have no love for you. The guy who was number 2 alongside him making all the terrible decisions over the years is now in charge. Do we expect any better decisions to be made?
No, absolutely not. Sorry.
With that vote of confidence, well, we'll see you at the weekend after United beat Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. They just signed Balogun from Arsenal, young forward, so he may play in the FA Cup. I think he's eligible. And Chris Wilder is doing decent things for them. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah, they've been really impressive under him, which is, just then I felt like I was about to say it'll be a really tough game, and I'm a bit worried about it. But is that what United's basically done to me? That I feel a little bit scared of a team who's in the playoffs in the Championship. I think they have done that to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think they have. Well, it's a more slimline squad that will be taking on this game, but I imagine it'll be a fairly full-strength team because many of them have had some time off. A few of them were over in Dubai training. You'll have seen all the social media posts. It's partly training, but mostly it's hitting the clubs and taking pictures with dodgy rappers, as Jesse Lingard and Marcus Rashford found out. Be careful who you're drawn into a photo op with, yeah? So I'm going to take the generous view on that one and say they just didn't know. You can all go find the story about exactly what problems Wiley's got.
I think he's the doubt if they didn't know about that.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, basically, they both said they didn't know. So,
Okay.
Yes, I know.
Just what we need.
I know, yeah. I know. Thanks, everyone. Difficult show in some respects, but we thought we wanted to address some of the issues. And we'll see you next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.